Willow Creek Springs presents Healthy Living with your host, Joe Grumbine.
Hello and welcome to the Healthy Living Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Grumbine, and I welcome you to join me on a journey to a healthy life. Today, I want to talk about community and health. I know that, as far as I know, everybody listening to this podcast is a human being. And from the time we're born until the time we die, we are involved with different communities. And I believe that community is an essential part to the healthy life of a human being. And there are people who successfully live solitary lifestyles, and I say good for them. But really, the question is that the best way to be? Do you get the most out of your life living solitary? I think there are some things you can gain by a solitary life that you cannot gain in a community. But overall, I just want to talk about community. And maybe one day we'll talk about solitary experiences. Really, you think about it, the first community you're born into is your family, right? You're born of a mother. We're all born of a mother. I guess there's a couple of test tube babies out there, but even they were born of mothers. You come out of the birth canal or you're extracted surgically, and you go from being a part of another person to completely separate on your own, but still completely reliant either on that person or somebody else to take care of the basic needs like eating and drinking and cleaning and the things that a baby needs. But they have done studies, numerous studies, and I think that was one of the Nazis' horrific, nasty things they tried out, and they deprived babies of any contact or any love, and they died, just friggin' died. And it's just so horrible. Imagine the evil that it would have required to be part of something like that. Imagine the anguish of a young child who just knew only this connection to another person, and then it was gone, and then there was nothing, just being by themselves. So communities, then you get into, whatever, a group, preschool group, a play group, that's a community. You get into school, you're in a community, whether you like it or not. And then you start choosing communities. And maybe you get into some kind of a club or a sport or some kind of a group. Maybe it's a church group or some other kind of study group. There's just so many different groups and communities. So is there a difference, group and community? I don't know. I think the words can be used somewhat interchangeably. That brings us to, the dynamics of a community and the health of a community. And before I get into some of the communities I've been involved with and some of the experiences I've shared or experienced, I want to kind of fast forward up to maybe the general point of this. I am currently in a rebuild process, both mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. I'm building a better Joe Grumbine right now, and I believe I'm on a good track. I've lost nearly 60 pounds in the last 6 years, and I hit my target weight and I've maintained it. I have developed this friggin' lump on my neck that I'm working very diligently to remove, whether it's mentally or physically or surgically, however it ends up playing out. But I'm going through a whole process, and I have done episodes addressing this and will continue to do so as I'm following my own journey here. But what I've realized is the people that I had surrounded myself with in the past And, reasons, seasons, and lifetimes. At the time, it was probably the most healthy thing that I could do. And as you grow and as you change, your needs grow and change as well. And so I'm in a place now where I need a community that embraces me for who I am, that is, and I don't mean 100% inclusive community. There are people I do not want in my community, absolutely. And that's maybe one of the differences. I think we, as a society, have become either totally inclusive or totally exclusive, and to the detriment of who's in the community. For example, I have a community of, I don't know, kitten loving 4-year-old girls, and I am a kitten hating 58-year-old person who doesn't even like little girls. Should I be in that community? I think it'd be a terrible match. And that's just a cartoon example, but we do these things. Oh, everything's inclusive. It has to be everybody's welcome. Well, why? The world just doesn't work that way, at least not successfully. And, there are things that belong together and things that do not. And I think that's an important conversation to have when we're talking about communities. I've also going through a lot of personal growth. I'm working with plant medicine and just trying to heal myself. I recently came to realize that I didn't love myself the way I thought I did. And I'm working on that. And, you go through your life thinking you're okay, and you think that everything's cool inside. And then all of a sudden, you become aware that, wow, there's something horribly wrong here. And maybe that's part of my problem. So I can't fix any of you. I'm hoping that you might learn something from me working on me and sharing these experiences. And, we have lots of different guests that come on this podcast that share their experiences that I've certainly gained and learned from, and I hope you can and will too. And heck, if you want to come and be a part of this show and you've got something you want to share, get in touch with me. So easy to reach. I think we've had, 50 guests on in the last almost 2 years now. And what a wealth of different experiences. So in my life, I'm just going to kind of go to the last 20 years, because as a kid, obviously we go through all these different communities, and, I was no different, moved around to several schools, and I really wasn't involved in sports, but I had my group of friends, my family, and I come from this gigantic Catholic family. So there's this whole community there. Even my inner circle family, we're a big family. Guess how many of them I'm in communication with right now? I would be willing to bet not one family member of mine has or will hear an episode of this podcast. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm really wrong. But as I see it right now, I would doubt that any of them would even find their way to it. For good or ill, it's not, really not my issue with that. About almost 15 years ago, I was in a community working with cannabis patients, providing medicine, and we had a dispensary where, we provided cannabis medicine under California's Prop 215 medical law. And we had quite a community. We had a lot of people that came and went and shared their stories, and growers that shared their flowers and their medicine, and patients that came and needed. And we were a piece of all that. We called it a collective. A collective is a great term. It's being used today in plant medicine and groups of people. And I like the term, a collective, cooperative, tribe. Hell, there's just all these different words that we use for community. But in that community, there was a very specific roles that people gave and they took, and they gave and took. Some people gave They grew medicine, they received compensation for it. Some people were in need of medicine and they gave compensation and received medicine for it. And we were a facilitator in the middle of it all, and we provided some medicine, and we shared in that role. But what I learned in that was that the second you don't have what the other person needs, generally the community either dissolves or the people leave it very quickly. And so when I got raided and charged with crimes based on giving medicine to sick people, I'd say probably 90% of the people that were involved bailed right away, including the people that were closest to us, the employees, the volunteers, people that were directly engaged. They just took off. I can remember this one lady who was an advocate, an activist, and I'm not going to give names, but she was a prominent advocate in the world of activists, and she supported our dispensary, and she actually came and worked for us for a little while. I personally helped her move. I can still remember just busting balls, dragging her stuff over there. Just, I mean, the extra mile of the community. I shit you not, the second we got busted, the last time I ever heard from her. And that list goes on, and I'm not here to bemoan anybody, just pointing out that if a community is based on specific needs and specific exchanges, I don't know that it's really much of a community. It's more of an arrangement, because I watched that dissolve so quickly. But from that, once I went into court and I realized I needed a community of support around, I was able to gather this together. And we created a group called the Human Solution. But the genesis of that was not organic. It was driven by me, a very motivated human being with a lot of energy and charisma, or whatever you want to call it. I've always had that ability, an excitement. I don't know. I've always called it a boyish exuberance. I don't know. Crazy. They called me a spaz when I was little. I don't think I ever changed. I'm still a spaz. But I know that when I get excited about something, it's contagious. And I know that when I can look you in the eye with a sparkle and a gleam and an excitement, that you're going to want to know what the heck's going on, or at least, if you got a half a soul in you. I can remember taking a step back when I was, I don't know, I think I was in my early 30s, maybe. And I just was on a mission to make the world a better place. And yeah, I used to love hiking. I still do love hiking, but I've always explored. That's always been one of my features. I've always loved to explore, whether it was information, some new place, scientific discovery, growing something new. Just I've always liked to explore. Let's see what happens. And so in hiking up one time in I think it was Silverado Canyon, just remembered a place that used to be so beautiful when I was younger. And then I went up there one time, and I just noticed a lot of trash up in this canyon where there's a stream, and then I says, man, this is ridiculous. So I just reached out to everybody I knew. I says, hey guys, let's go clean the canyon. What do you say? And I organized a cleaning party, and I did it a couple times, 2 or 3 times. And we all met up and, brought coffee and donuts for everybody.
Wife.
And got 20, 30 people together. And we got trash bags. We walked in a big line and we picked up everything we saw. It was great. Took out, I don't know, much trash out of that canyon. And of course, in the next year, it all got replaced by more trash, but it really felt good. And we built a little community in our ability to do that. And I thought that was pretty incredible. Well, I did the same thing, and I got everybody who said they were supportive, and I got out there and I started speaking at everybody's meetings, everywhere I could, told them about my story. I says, I need your help. I'm being charged with crimes for helping you. And I've got people that participate, and people would start showing up to court. And it was really a great experience for a while. And then the community grew. More and more people started reaching out, going, hey, can you help me with that? And we established chapters and started supporting more and more cases. And, pretty soon, I think we had 40 chapters across the country. We were in courtrooms all over the place. But what started to happen was what happens sometimes in a community. When you have a chapter of people in their own town, part of something bigger, there's always the leaders that lead, and they set up their own thing, and sometimes they have an idea that's a little different. And then you get people that like to ride coattails, and it turns into a party. So hey, let's get in and participate. And then some shady person comes in and does a thing, and then one person has a beef with another person, and chaos can ensue. And this organization ran strong for a good 10 years, and then 5 years it sort of started waning when the recreational law in California came through and really just started undermining all the support. And just recently I pretty much let it go. I mean, it's still alive technically, but just it faded away. And I realized without my youthful exuberance raising it up and driving it forward, it just didn't stand on its own. And so that's where this community that we're building now is so different, because I created the Gardens of Hope with my wife, a 2.5 acre botanical garden and beautiful property that we've developed over 30 years in Paris, California. And we were using that as sort of a home base, an anchor point. And we offer what we call therapeutic horticulture and education, a place where people can come and have a retreat, or just take a tour, or, pick some organic vegetables, or, so many things happen there, but it's the basis of a community. And just over time, people are recognizing the value and coming aboard. So different facilitators, practitioners. We've got some special needs groups that are coming out, bringing their kids and learning and growing. We've got a mental health clinic that brings groups of patients out, and the programs are just beginning. And one of our core values is to support veterans, to bring everything that we offer for free to veterans, because I believe they're an underserved community and we want to help. And what's really great about this community is that it's inclusive completely. Anybody can fit in, but you don't just walk in. You have to put an effort to be a part of this. And if you find it interesting, important, valuable, then you'll do that. If you're not, it's all good, and it's really amazing. I'm so tickled with the caliber of people that are finding their way to this community. This podcast has brought some incredible guests and people that are exploring and considering and dipping their toes in the community. And that's what we want. We don't want somebody just to jump in full, with both feet. Those are generally the people that come and go. I mean, we'll talk about that on another episode, all the people in my life that have been the ones that I'll never leave you, and this is the best thing ever, and forever and ever and ever. And then they're the ones that throw the knife in your back as they walk out and call you some, rackety frackety son of a whatever. And so this new community, it doesn't have a name. It's, the Gardens of Hope is involved. Willow Creek Springs is involved. The Healthy Living Podcast is involved. A number of different collectives and practitioners and facilitators and just some amazing people are coming together to share their lives, experiences, and resources. And it's all very symbiotic. Anybody who gets involved with this will bring something and take something. And then there's not a contractual agreement. It's not like the dispensary where you had to put prices on something. And, you want to participate. Hey, I guarantee you want to come out to the Gardens of Hope and volunteer, you'll leave better than you left. And you'll leave behind something, whether even it's a smile, or maybe you plant a seed, or donate something, whatever it is. So really, I believe very strongly in the power of community. I personally feel more whole and more inspired and more together and more purposeful when I'm part of a community. And I would encourage you, if you don't have a community, maybe it's a church, maybe it's a study group or a yoga class or whatever, anything, I encourage you to at least make an effort to enter into some kind of a community on some level. And it doesn't have to be family, it doesn't have to be friends. Sometimes it's best to have people you don't even know, get to know them on a equal basis. So anyways, that's my 2 cents today on community. I am excited. We're putting on the Holistic Health Symposium on October 19th. So if you're listening to this before that, I'd encourage you to look into it. We got our presence on Instagram and all that stuff. Easy to find information about it. But really excited. A whole lot of new people that I'm just getting to know are entering into this, coming together on the property at Gardens of Hope to share their knowledge and resources. We're going to have speakers and vendors and all kinds of great experiences for the whole family. And I think that's it for now. Just thank you for being a part of the Healthy Living Podcast, and we'll see you next time. This has been Joe Grumbine and Gardens of Hope.